So yeah.
What do you think was anything positive that came out of the war?
Well, I have a thing on my wall somewhere. It's about, it's a really good thing. Maybe I'll go back and get it again. But we thought that this was such an ugly thing that happened. There's no way they could make it look nice. And that was a good thing, and maybe they'll think twice about engaging in a war. I guess they haven't.
Yeah.
But for some people, it was, it was very powerful stuff. Let me just say one thing about being isolated. Like I said, the people on the left hated us because we were fighting an unfair war, and they couldn't separate the war itself from those who fight the war. We were just like killing a people who didn't want us there. And this massacre happened, and now we were not just fighting a bad war, but we were killers. And not just killers, but we were baby killers. That's one thing to fight a war, and you fought your war, but to kill babies is not exactly, make you feel very proud. Of course, we weren't killing babies, but I mean, I was in the infantry. I wasn't dropping bombs and napalm, or let alone manufacturing, let alone in a place like University of Michigan, which developed all these interesting techniques. And how can we get the napalm jelly to stick better to the skin? And how can we get it so it will burn underwater? Well, that wasn't the fire team that come up with those ideas. That was the best minds in the country in these laboratories figuring out how can we make the napalm burn while it's underwater. Let's do that. Let's figure that out. That would be great. And who got lots of money and lots of prestige and got, taught in the best universities and were the respectful families, and, there you go. So we were hated by the right. Thought we lost the war, or else we were somehow cowards, and we couldn't, here we are, we have all this technology, and the other side has spears and bow and arrows. And here we're losing a war. So we obviously lack courage, or why'd you were in the military in the first place? You're pretty stupid. Must have been stupid, because if you had any smarts with you would have been able to avoid the draft, right? So we're either stupid, killing babies, or not being very brave. And then among ourselves, we hated people among ourselves. We hated officers, we hated lifers, we hated people, maybe some of the people we had. Anyway, it was really not a good situation. And so for a lot of guys who came back, who were in the field in particular, they had very difficult lives. They lived in a very isolated fashion. There's a lot of drug use. It was not easy. And that's why, anyway, that's why far too many suffered and had to suffer. You think they suffered enough in the field, right? If you could imagine having to go through that, knowing that the next 20 years of life were going to be shitty years, you'd be homeless and everything. Can you imagine that? That's what lies ahead of you. I don't think you would have went to that recruiter's office and raised your right hand, right? For that? So that's what they can't tell. That's what they don't tell you. So they tell you that you'll be like a World War II John Wayne hero and you'll come back, and the girls will love you and all that. So it's really it's a whole thing. So there's all those reasons. So we thought the only good thing was that they'll never get away with this shit again. After Vietnam, how could they possibly pull this one off again? But they did. Although it's different in certain ways. I think one thing is different. I think people feel so guilty about what people go through, the veteran soldiers go through. They can actually separate how they feel about the war from how they feel about those who end up in the war, even if they volunteer. I mean, a lot of people volunteer for a lot of different reasons. I mean, I volunteered to get in the military, to get in school, to get the GI Bill. And a lot of people volunteer for that very reason, because they're particularly motivated to, But anyway,